I see a lot of people on the screen describe their lives as a story. These words like journey, next chapter, and when things have gone really poorly, new beginning. These stories are often compelling, if not a little self-aggrandizing, sometimes a lot. Regardless, it could be nice to get an update on someone you know in this storybook fashion, and maybe it's helpful to apply narrative thinking to life itself for a sense of direction. But ultimately, is this storification of reality an illuminating path to better things, or a blinding journey into a ditch? What does the title have to say? Many of us are prone to think of our lives as a story, either as a predefined script or one we strive to fulfill based on a sense of purpose and/or identity. But the script itself is an illusion, just like a magic trick or democracy. It's just the way we commonly frame this nebulous blob that is our existence. With the story, we give life a sense of logic and order when, in reality, it is a disorderly mess, like the top desk drawer. Our narrative thinking isn't supported by any metaphysical force. It's more like the sibling of superstition that we take more seriously because they tuck in their shirt. Many of us, by default, think of our lives as a narrative, but this isn't true for everyone. Philosopher Galen Strawson argues that while some people view their lives as a story unfolding in time, others think more episodically, like episodes of Perfect Strangers. He goes on to suggest that narrative thinking may actually give us an inaccurate understanding of ourselves. The more you recall, retell, narrate yourself, the further you risk moving away from accurate self-understanding, from the truth of your being. Some are constantly telling their daily experiences to others in a storying way, and with great gusto. They are drifting ever further off the truth. You may be thinking at this point that the story is a useful facade to keep us from feeling aimless and sad in life, and there is some truth to that, especially when it comes to communicating with others. You see people take to the screen to share their narrative thinking in post form, or perhaps they're just following online conventions, probably a mix of both. Those clean and tidy narratives you see posted online are not the natural unfolding of events and words, but a curation process. And of course, occasionally there's straight up dirty lies to pad the profile. Isn't that right, Dan? I often note how people curate photos on social media to present a more ideal or interesting version of themselves. There are endless images of couples on vacation, but never any pictures of families arguing outside a Wendy's bathroom. The storyteller does something similar, but with a narrative structure. They take a big chunk of their life and cut out a lot of the details until they have an inspiring tale. All the nuance and complexity is removed. Of course, without any active curation, explaining a sequence of events to others would be brutal for both speaker and listener. You'd be drowning in details, like trying to read infinite jest. And there are benefits to building your narrative online. It gives you more control over the story of your life as others perceive it, via posts that will inevitably appear after some AI-generated fan page of a show you watched as a kid. But the story is not reality, and by investing in it too seriously, we get lost in a fiction. Lost. Philosophy professor Hannah H. Kim poses the following question in her critique of the narrative self. Is it possible to understand myself as a character in a story without relegating everyone else to minor characters? Or at least characters that are dispensable to the story at hand? Thinking of your life as a story typically places you front and center. You're the lead and everyone else is a lowly side character serving a supportive role, crawling around aimlessly waiting for orders. Whenever you're not around, everyone is mostly just thinking of you.
Whenever Poochie's not on screen, all the other characters should be asking, "Where's Poochie?"
When we take the narrative perspective too seriously, we forget that life is filled with several billion main characters, not just a bunch of disposable henchmen whose deaths are merely sad blips on your journey to great things, or fodder for online posts. I'd like to think that most of us catch ourselves from overlooking the inner worlds of others, while others become influencers, thought leaders, and online recipe writers. Narrative biases fill our brains like raisins and oatmeal cookies. One such example is how we think of our life stories as an arrow aiming toward a goal with a presumption of progress. This is called teleological thinking. But life rarely abides by this trajectory. There are peaks, valleys, and cliffs. Sometimes you think you're sitting comfortably on an embankment, but it's really just a lump in a ditch. Many people we admire, such as professional athletes, experience great growth and highs, but even in ideal cases, they peak early in life, with the majority of their days spent out of the limelight, trying to become the face of a sports betting app. We're also prone to thinking of the story of humanity in this way as one that progresses toward the good, always becoming more humane and prosperous. Similarly, it's common for people to assume that the advancement of better technology will lead to greater human welfare as its end. Techno-optimism, I believe it's called. What's become clear over the last decade is that technology is more nakedly tied to capital than to welfare. Just ask the AI flesh chipper. When we become attached to a life story, we limit our possibilities. We want to fulfill a script, even when we no longer find it desirable, or it causes us more anguish than satisfaction. When the life story off-ramp comes up on the left, many of us will pass it by, waiting for other options on the restaurant board of life. Options that fulfill the script, Kelsey's perhaps. Meanwhile, the narrative tightens its suffocating grip, like so many turtleneck sweaters. Instead of thinking of our lives as having a defined narrative with a sense of purpose, we can instead think of our lives as an unhewn garment, a concept from philosophical Taoism. The idea is that we hem the garment of existence along lines that don't actually exist in nature. We separate objects this way, we separate people by roles, we divide purpose from non-purpose, the life story from the background. But the lines we cut don't need to be taken so seriously. They aren't real in any concrete way. Sure, they serve a practical purpose, but we need not worry so much about fulfilling them. You can be more at ease in your pursuit of narrative, letting expectations of progress rinse off your shoulders like a spider that tried to get you in the shower.